All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Without Borders. Today, I'm really excited to have Maurice Philogene on, and Maurice has a very impressive background, investor and entrepreneur, financial freedom through real estate investment. And one of the reasons that I'm inviting him on today is that he's doing real estate not only in the United States, but also outside of the United States as well. And just a guy that I find very interesting. And I could go on and on with Maurice, but I'll let him introduce himself and we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, man. Well, Fletcher, thank you for having me on, my brother. I know we've been trying to do it for a minute. So my name is Maurice Philogene. I am based in Washington, D.C., but as my man Fletcher articulated, I spend a significant amount of time in the Mediterranean now as well. Born in New York, raised in Boston, and ended up in D.C. by way of University of Virginia. This is Real Estate Without Borders. So I am a real estate investor, have been since my early 20s, specifically to gain some level of freedom, mainly through passive income, but also through equity. And it was all based on the notion of I didn't want to sit behind a desk for the rest of my life unless it was my choice. There's nothing wrong with working. I try and put that out there more often than not now because there's this notion that everyone's trying to get out of work. I don't think that's the case at all. That's how my journey started, just by learning about real estate in my 20s, investing in single family for about 14, 15 years, how I got my financial freedom, flipping over to apartment complexes in the US. And then Fletcher, as you alluded to, intentionally seeking out ways to do business in the Mediterranean because I worked there in 2015, fell in love with the region. And I am now a real estate developer working on my third project on the island of Cyprus.
Man, that's so cool. I mean, Maurice, we were just talking, that's really what it's all about, being able to set yourself up and then having the option to even look into something like that. Whereas, anybody listen to this and be like, man, it's hard enough, it seems, from afar to get to where you were before even branching out to the Mediterranean. Yeah. I'm just curious, like, since the pandemic started, let's call like March 2020, it seems like you've been up to a lot, just following you. It's obviously you've got Quattro Capital, you're doing this real estate abroad. I think you've even retired as a public servant from the police force and everything like that. But can you just kind of maybe recap what's been going on in these past couple of years?
Yeah, man. So I'm 46. I start at the end, right? I'm 46. I don't work the traditional jobs anymore. I'm out of all of them. I was a senior executive at a global consulting firm right out of college, starting at age 21. And I stayed there 25 years and decided October 31st of last year to retire. I was a police officer as well. It was a parallel career, which is a whole nother story. But it was time to leave the police department. So I took an early retirement out of there. And then in late 2019, I finished up my Air Force career as a federal agent and retired out of there. Real estate was with me the entire time, but I was just posting about this yesterday. There are many different definitions of entrepreneurs. And I was the guy who kept all of the active employment because I love them. I really enjoyed them. Don't get me wrong. I think everybody has their moments where you're like, the heck with this, right? But by keeping all of those employment streams, the income kept coming, which allowed me to invest in more real estate along the way and then start something like Quattro Capital. So Quattro is my firm. I started it with, I have 4 main partners, so there's 5 of us. We started in late 2019. My now partner, Erin, who I became friends with because I donated to her charity, and we just started kicking it together. She hit me up in late 2019, asked me to sponsor a $3 million, I think 36 unit project that she was after with 2 other partners who are now my partners now as well. We did that deal. We started in October of 2019. We closed it in January of 2020. We realized when we did that transaction, it was seamless because we were like-minded about life. We had the same values. We don't want to screw over tenants. I don't want to squeeze every single penny out of my residence. I have no interest in that type of crap at all. So we decided to stay together. And the whirlwind you're talking about is, in the last just over 2 years now, I think we're just over $100 million in real estate with Quattro. I've done maybe 10 or 20 on my own outside of that. We have very lofty goals for this year. And then 21, 22 apartment complexes since we joined forces together, and almost 1,000 investors that are associated with us now. So it's been one hell of a whirlwind, but I think it is mainly because we were looking for positive outcomes, having to deal with people, residents, investors, and then making good money as a consequence. So like doing good while doing well, right? That's kind of in the whirlwind you've been talking about, and Quattro continues to grow organically, which is a good thing. But I want to make sure it does not become a huge behemoth of a company, because my interest is more in life than it is in just growing a business, if that makes sense.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about the art of staying small and not letting success get to your head like that, and kind of reminding me of that conversation. And I also, Maurice, sitting here nodding my head when you're talking about, hey, we're not trying to squeeze every cent out, because I do see some posts where it's just like, almost where I'm like, man, somebody can forward this to like the local authority and just talk about, hey, here, these people are coming in and also almost being like vultures, whereas you can do it twofold. And at the end of the day, if you're doing it the way you're talking about, more people are going to want to do business with you as a result.
And that's what's happening. And that's what's happening. We're getting bigger, but we're getting more refined. So in real estate without borders, right? The reason I am going to get on a plane tomorrow, like I was talking to you about, and be in 4 countries in the next 3 weeks, is because Quattro Quattro Capital, as well as my personal life and other businesses that I have, they're all automated. They are all process driven. I can run business from that cell phone on my desk in front of me with this Mac that you're on. My success factor for having a business is, can I leave the US and be mobile for 4 months and the business still run itself? That's the spice of life, my man, right? Because you and I were in grade school, high school, college. We were learning new things all the time. And then we start pressing this repeat thing it's the rat race. And the way that I break it up is with travel and by immersing in different cultures, and now starting to do business in different countries. And I don't want to be the smartest dude in the room. My business partner, from a Mediterranean perspective, he knows more than me. He's teaching me the language aspects and the cultural aspects of doing business on the island of Cyprus. Like, I'm learning, right? So I want to get out and go and do real estate without borders, but also do life without borders. Hence why I want to keep my businesses in a virtual and process-driven capacity.
Nice. And that just resonates a lot with me, and just a lot of the audience too. Just literally being able, my 2 favorite things are real estate and travel, to a certain extent, outside of family. Being able to do that, it's just really cool. And I want to hone in on this. How exactly did you get involved with this development in Cyprus? You were just traveling, and then all of a sudden got to the Mediterranean, we're like, man, this is it. And then just met some people and started putting deals together. How did that come to be?
It was actually somewhat law of attraction, somewhat intentional, because I told you I was in the military, where I was a federal agent. I ran a federal law enforcement field office in Western Turkey in 2015 for the military. We had federal agents running around doing stuff, but I was meeting an enormous amount of incredible people, whether they were Turkish or Greek or whatever, from whatever country, right? I fell in love with the region, the Aegean Sea region, as well as the Mediterranean region, which is southern Turkey. Over time, when I got back to the States after that deployment, so I was gone for about 2 years, a friend of mine started working for my consulting firm, Accenture. We went to college together. She was coming in as a partner. So she met me at a restaurant where I'm an owner in DC, and we sat down, we had drinks together. And I was just telling her my passion about life, and that I did not want to be a partner at my firm. I just wanted to be a good employee. But here are all the things I knew that she should know over for her pending career, because I had been there for 20 years. But I mentioned to her that, no, my next thing is I really want to live over in the Med and do something good for a community or somewhere. And she mentioned to me that we had someone that we graduated college with who was married to a Turkish Cypriot, and that she was splitting time between Virginia and Cyprus. And I was like, what? And randomly, he was doing real estate. And that's why she brought it up, because she knew that I was in real estate. Within 3 days, I was on a Zoom call with both of them in Cyprus. That call went well. Within 3 weeks, I was in their home in Cyprus. And probably within 3 or 4 months after, I asked him if we could be business partners together, and found a way to add value to what he was already doing, which was developing land. His dad, who passed away, a long time ago, was a real estate developer, handed the business off to him. So he's been developing slowly, consciously, in the way that I want, right? He's developing, but he's doing at a scale that is manageable for his life. And that's what's important, right? So I said, look, my man, I got business sense. I got get up and go. I got money, to be honest. And I have a sincere desire to have a bi-country lifestyle the way that you do. Can we be business partners? Can we be friends? Can we get to know each other? And I think that was the thing. And lastly, what I brought to the table for him was someone who understood his mindset of wanting to split time between two countries, of having a mobile lifestyle, of never having I had a W-2, but he didn't have a W-2. He's always been doing this. So it just worked, and we became friends. And here I am now on my third development. I'm not driving the work. I am in learning mode. I am. But you need to do that, and then you can find ways to add value to your partner in a different context.
Yeah, there's so much to go on right there. Really the fact that you're having the humility to say, hey, I'm in learning mode, which is very true, because when you go to another area, another country, different laws, different norms, different, everything's different to a certain extent. So being able to learn that is awesome. And having somebody, but it's just a lesson to be able to, you got to put yourself out there if you want stuff like that to come to pass.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. And listen, relationships, we haven't touched on them. Maybe we can later, but those freedom principles I always talk about: financial freedom, time freedom, geographic freedom, purpose, relationships, man. For everything I've ever done, the accelerator, yes, has been money, but really has been relationships. There's no way I do 20 plus apartment complexes on my own. I'm not that good. I don't have that capacity. It's being tied to good people, because you can do a lot by yourself, but you can go further with people. People don't take the time to intentionally build meaningful relationships with people that could be the cornerstone in your next chapter. People make you grow. You know what I mean? You and me are smart dudes, man. We can do a lot of things on our own, but if we want to grow in leaps and bounds and exponentially, we got to build relationships. So in this case, I did the right thing. I sought out somebody and something that made sense. And man, has my life changed because of it. And this little inner city immigrant kid from Boston is now developing real estate in the Mediterranean. I own a lot of land there. That's not normal in my family anyway. It does happen, but that's because of relationships, not because I'm this business mind or anything like that. I just know how to build relationships.
Yeah, that's really powerful. When I got out of college, I had the fortune of, like, hey, I remember I was sitting in college, and I had the fortune that my father was paying my rent while I was in college. And I remember just sitting there and being like, man, it was like 6 of us, and like, where is this? Who's this Kelvin Brockbank guy that the check's going to every? So me and my father teamed up and bought a couple duplexes in the New Orleans area and started renting them out. And Maurice, it was good and bad, but the bad side of it is my head started blowing up a little bit, and I thought I could do everything on my own. And it took me, 6-7 years to see other people kind of going around and being like, hey, these people are grouping up, and I don't care how smart you are, especially if people don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
You're putting a limit on what you're able to achieve.
That's it.
I'm curious. So what exactly are these projects in? You said it's on Cyprus, correct? It's is it more like building out like single family homes, or who's buying these? Are these like residents, or are they going to be like expat type, or what?
Yeah, it's typically expat type. Although I will be honest in that, like I said, I'm in learning mode, and expats want to live in Cyprus. Cyprus was a former British colony until 1960. And then the UN came in. There's now this UN buffer zone in between what's known as Southern Cyprus and Northern Cyprus, because in 1974, ethnic Turks, Turkish, and Greeks were in a bit of a dispute, and a small war or civil war started on the island, and Turkish citizens kind of fled towards the north, and Turkey, the country, in 1974 sent its troops down to Cyprus to protect its citizens, rightfully so. And Turkey in 1974 asked the UN for permission to come up on the island, protect its citizenry, which the UN was like, yeah, you can, because they were a minority and they were in a bad position. It's just that Turkey never left. Turkey never left, right? So now you have this northern sector of Cyprus that is Turkish in nature. It is only recognized by Turkey, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. It is not recognized by the UN. So it's like this 50-year dispute going on. That just happens to be where I'm doing certain business, which is a little bit unique, but I know how to do it because my partner's from there. So it's not a challenge for me. So what it is, the developments that I'm doing, there are a lot of foreigners who live on Cyprus, the entire island of Cyprus, but northern Cyprus as well, coming from Scandinavia, Denmark, Germany, a lot of Brits, a lot of British, some US folks. They will buy vacation property. So I will build an apartment complex, if you will, an apartment complex, 80, 90 units, and sell them individually, kind of like condos, right? But I'm also building two neighborhood villas, two neighborhoods of villas, and those will be purchased as vacation homes. Some locals may purchase them. I'm certainly going to keep one or two for my own family. But in the future, I want to build something for locals. I do. But I am honestly learning the process and figuring out the right way to do that, because, you know, I don't want to be the guy that comes in and does business just with external entities. That's not the type of person I am solely.
Nice. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, you never want to be the outsider that comes in and seems like you're kind of exploiting something. But it
That's
seems
right.
to me
That's
is that
right.
a lot of what you're doing is what kind of we're doing here in Cabo is like, you know, if you do have, let's say, if you're building like a 200 unit like complex, generally in these markets, you're going to be dividing those into condos and selling them individually, or
Right.
just doing like the neighborhood and building out like the villas, like you're saying, because there still is so much land here. But it's pretty cool to hear that. Is there anything like in particular that's been like completely different that you've noticed over there as compared to maybe doing a project in the States?
Well, in the States, I do repositioning, right? So I'm buying existing structures, improving them, which gets the net operating income up, which gets the value up, right? So it's improving existing structures. There, I'm going ground up. So my investment and that of my investors is somewhat shorter term, because we will fund purchasing the land, if you will, and then at some point, deposits will start coming in for ownership, and we can use those deposits to do development. The one thing I love about Cyprus, though, and I guess this occurs in the U.S. too, depending on where you go, you can only build on a certain portion of the land because they want, and I can't remember the percentages right now, but they want to maintain green space. So, like, let's say if you buy a 10-acre parcel, 3 of the 10 acres has to remain green space, and I love that. The other thing is, I now understand the value of vacation locations or tropical locations like where you are in Cabo. I now understand why that's so important. Where I am in Cyprus, the backyard is a mountain range. The front yard is an infinity pool view to the Mediterranean. You don't find that. And what people are looking for is a lifestyle, not necessarily investment only. They are looking for ways to experience life in a unique way that is relatively cheaper. Because of the political dynamics, the property there is probably 30 to 40% of the value of the rest of the island. So I can get the land pretty cheap relatively. So that's the differences I see. Yes, I'm going to make money. Yes, I'm going to do good by the environment. Yes, I'm going to hire locals mainly to do the work. I want to be part of the community. But I'm starting to realize more and more that when I do my real estate in the US, I'm giving someone a home to live. And when I do my work in the Mediterranean, I'm giving someone a lifestyle. And that is a little bit different perspective for me. But like I said, I'm in a beginner's mode, right? I'm learning as.
Once again, going back to the humility to sit back and learn after all you've done. But I'm just sitting here. You started off, you said it's rare to even be where you are in the States, let alone outside. The kid from New York and Boston, now developing. You've got a mountain range in the back, infinity pool overlooking the Mediterranean. That's making it. And then kind of moving forward from that, not being satisfied, keeping the ball rolling with it. That's pretty cool. So I'm curious on this question. You obviously are very well traveled, have been over. If you could live anywhere in the world, would it be on the, I know you have a bunch of different locations, but ideally the States, and then being able to jump into like Cyprus, or is there another location that you like as well?
See, that's the thing. I don't know if I will ever be, but I am not a static person. I like mobility. I really do. I am drawn emotion wise to the Mediterranean and Aegean region. So I love the Greek islands. I love Eastern Italy, Cyprus, Lebanon. I go to Lebanon a lot. It is a misunderstood place right on the Mediterranean, southern Turkey. So anywhere in that region, the beautiful thing about Cyprus is if I go to the east, I can get to Lebanon. If I go to the north, I can get to Turkey. This is all within 2 hours or less, okay? East is Lebanon, north is Turkey, northwest is the Greek islands, south is Egypt, and if I go far west, it's Italy. Like it is just smack dab in the middle of, and Israel's right there too, right? It is smack dab in the middle of culture everywhere. It's like a big battleship in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. So I guess in answer to your question, anything that gives me proximity to different cultures and different people, I'm there. But I will say, I'm an East Coast boy through and through. The United States gave me everything that I have. It did, and my family, because we're immigrants from Haiti in the Caribbean. There is no better country in the world for opportunity and for growth, for you to design the life, kind of the way we talk about design the life that you want. But it is silly. It is absolutely silly not to leverage the rest of this planet for all the goodness that it gives us, right? Cabo and other places in Mexico, South America, Africa, the Mediterranean, whatever your jam is, go there, experience it, because we're only going to be on this planet once.
I agree 100%. Every once in a while, I mean, like right now, I have a lot of Canadians reaching out and they're like disturbed
Right.
about the political climate and stuff, but I've never been one to be anti the United States. As a matter of fact, setting up an LLC here in Mexico, or in the States, it was like pay $70, go online and do this, and it's like boom, you got a company. Here,
Yeah.
and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, entrepreneurs in the United States have it made. So the opportunity there, regardless of where you're at, you can make it. But I agree once more too that especially today, the blessing that coronavirus has been when you get through all the bad things associated with it it's been able to open up people's minds to what you're doing, what I'm doing, and being a little bit more open to that as like a life without borders. So it's a great answer too. It's like, hey, live anywhere where there's like culture. And I agree, Maurice, I'm one of those guys too that just like gets the itch to, hey man, I'd love to jump over here and get to know this culture type thing, as opposed to just kind of planning down in one spot.
I don't think one thing is better than the other. Mexico is not better than Cyprus, not better than the US, not better than France, not better than Sweden, where I've been, not better than Finland, where I've been 5 times. None of it. Yeah, it's the title of your show. It's Real Estate Without Borders. It's Life Without Borders. It's Experiences Without Borders, which I love. And I'll tell you, COVID, you brought that up. In 2020, when COVID was happening, I was doing heavy real estate in the US, and I went over to Cyprus to go do some stuff. And I was sitting on the side of the road because my partner was showing me around the island. And I made this post, and I'll never forget it, because I was sitting down on the side of the road and I was like, COVID has really slowed everybody down. The chicken with the head cut off thing, COVID just slapped it in the face. I was like, stop. Go spend time with your family. Realize your time is precious on this earth. People were passing away from this thing, and like, oh my God, I gotta go hang out with my kids and stuff. And the reason I'm bringing it up, because it hit me in Cyprus what was happening with COVID, because I never stopped traveling during the pandemic. I was just extremely careful. I never got COVID or anything like that. We have to live. We just don't know when all this stuff is going to end. I'm grateful that our society's kind of slowed down with this pandemic. I don't want hurt for anyone. Please don't get me wrong there. But it really did slow us down in a manner that we could see that life without borders might be a good thing, or real estate without borders might be a good thing. Being with your family is a good thing. Slow down. Forget about eating Subway for dinner. Why don't you actually cook a meal at the house and sit around the dinner table with the kids? So, take that for what it's worth. But that popped in my mind when you mentioned COVID.
So I know we're a little limited on time here, Maurice. I'm
Yeah,
just going to jump into the last question.
sure.
What is financial freedom to you? I'm assuming it's the ability to kind of do what you're doing, but more for the audience, just anybody who's listening to your situation. I mean, Maurice, if I had heard what you're doing 5 or 10 years ago, I'd be like, all right, this guy's got like daddy's money or something like that. And it's just really cool to see that. So like,
No,
I know it's the exact opposite, right? But I'm
yeah.
just, what would you say to somebody who, like, what is financial freedom to you?
It definitely depends on the person. My textbook definition for it in the world of Maurice is more passive income than you have expenses. Because I know guys and gals who have 6 grand of passive, one guy in particular, 6 grand of passive income, and he has 3 grand of bills. He's out. He left. He lives in Thailand, by the way. He bought 4 condos in DC. One of them appreciated. He sold that one, paid off 2 of them with it, and then I'm sorry, paid off one of them with it, and then used his salary from work to pay off the rest over a 10-year period. He's like, 6 grand is enough. I'm out. He's free. He is free. You don't have to make 20 million as a CEO to be free. In fact, you're probably stuck in the corner office on K Street in DC doing that. That was a textbook definition, but my real world definition of it is being able to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want. You don't need $30 million to do that. You can have a couple grand here and there coming in passively, or you can have a remote job, because I think financial freedom can come from making active income in a more mobile way. We have gotten the definition of success mixed up. It ain't titles and paycheck. It's freedom and ability to take care of yourself and those you love. That's it, from my perspective. So that's what financial freedom means to me. Being able to do what you want, where you want, how you want to, with who you want to. And that's why I am getting on a plane tomorrow and will be in 4 countries over the next 3 weeks, because I earned that right. I worked for that right over the years. And my 46-year-old self, like I said, is thanking my 23-year-old self.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree 100% too. Some of the people that I know that have the most stuff, might not be the happiest people. And
That's it.
I've been
That's
I've
it.
been traveling to remote areas in like Argentina and Colombia, like almost like jungle villages, and seeing people living on $1 or $2 a day, and they're
Yes.
happy,
And they're
you know.
happy as can be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and it's kind of like we imprison our own selves, and then if you're someone like me, if you get that mentality, it's easy to start blaming other people. But it's great to have an example like you, Maurice. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for spending the time. And before I ask you this, I'm going to say Maurice is a great follow on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn and not following Maurice, please do so. But is there any way that like any sort of like programs that you're offering, or a way for someone to get in touch with you?
Yeah. LinkedIn, as you said, is probably one of the best ways. Just send me a direct message. Instagram, I talk about the lifestyle stuff quite a bit, especially the travels and how I travel hack and the way that I run my life and have what have you. I do coach. The coaching is around those freedom principles. I think anyone and everyone should and can design a life that they don't need a vacation from. I tend to spend an enormous amount of time with mid-level and senior executives who are kind of stuck in the rat race, and I help them unplug themselves, especially financially, but also creating a more mobile lifestyle around geographic freedom and what have you. So I definitely coach. And then Quattro Capital, add value real estate investment firm. We buy large complexes, raise money from amazing private investors, improve the value, work to double or triple people's money within a certain amount of time. And we've done an extraordinary job in the past few years. So people can reach me at the Quattro Way, QUATTROWAY, thequattroway.com. And folks can reach out to me there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'll have the LinkedIn and the Instagram and stuff in the show notes. And Maurice, thank you so much for your time.
You're
And the
welcome,
best part
brother.
about this, man, is I just look forward it almost feels like your story is in at like the second or third inning, man. You got a lot going on, and you've achieved a
Yeah,
lot for being only 46 years old, man. And like, I get a lot of people, Maurice, that reach out to me and tell me, they're like, every once in a while, somebody's like, man, it's really cool to see what you're doing. There's not too many people where I'm like, wow, this guy's like really, really like just doing something that's incredible. And to see you doing that, it's really awesome for me to see, and I'm sure a lot of the people see that as well. So please keep it up, and I look forward to following the journey and having
I
it
appreciate
continue.
it. I appreciate it, man. That's very kind. Thank you for having me on for sure.
Cool. All right, Maurice, have a good one. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Hasta luego. Bye.